When my second eldest brother passed, Ronald passed, and we were all around the bed in the hospital room. And when Ronald took his last breath, my father's hands went up. And he just began to worship God. And his first words were like, Lord, I thank you for the years you gave us, Ronald. I thank you. And I looked at him and I was just like, that's your first response? But seeing how God carried my parents through that, losing a child, yes, I saw the tears, but they never went into a deep depression. But he understood the power of praise. So when I'm going through a rough time, a challenging time, I know even if I'm crying, I cry with my hands lifted up. And it gives me the strength because worship always puts your focus on the greatness of God.
My youngest son, Matthew, struggled with mental illness his entire life. He was clinically depressed as a child. About 8 years ago, Matthew had come over to our house for dinner one night, and we had a good time. We watched TV, played a few games. There's no problem, no rift. He lived in his own home. As he was leaving, he said, Dad, I'm just so tired. I'm so tired. And that was the last we heard from him.
Wow.
So about 24 hours later, we are worried because what we'd feared might happen someday and what we would pray would never happen. We go over to his house. His car's in the driveway. The door's locked. We don't have a key to get into his house. And we're waiting for the police to come break down the door to find this terrible moment in our lives. And Kay and I are standing on the driveway, hugging each other, sobbing, just sobbing. And Kay reaches down and she's wearing a necklace that has 2 words that are the words of the title of the book she'd just written, Choose Joy. And I look at her and I say, how do you choose joy when your heart is breaking in a million pieces? How do you choose joy? The police came, broke the door down, found the inevitable bad news. They're carrying my sons out in a body bag. And if I hadn't had a small group, I don't know that I'd still be in ministry right now. But that group that I'd been in for so many years, those couples showed up within 30 minutes, 15, 20 minutes on that driveway. And they didn't say anything. They just hugged us, okay? They just hugged us. And they said, we're not gonna leave you alone tonight. I actually think that our greatest witness to the world is how we handle pain. Not how we handle good times. There's a guy I've been witnessing to on my block for 20 years, and he was not interested in anything. He just shut down, closed. But when Matthew died, I remember driving by one day, and he's out watering his lawn, and he looks up at me, and he goes, and I'm going, that got to him. That got to him. And all of a sudden, it was real. And he was watching how I was handling the worst circumstances of my life.
Don't waste the pain you're in. Find the treasure, then keep it, treasure it, put it in your backpack for the rest of your life, and let it inform how you live. Like, don't waste the darkness, essentially. And what's so crazy is once you start living that way of like, okay, God's at work here, I'm gonna learn the lessons, but I'm gonna keep going. You know, I don't know if you can say this on this program, but when you're going through hell, keep going, but don't miss the treasure that God has for you. Take it with you. God's equipping you to go back into the cycle of ongoing hurt, but with ongoing hope. And you're equipped differently to suffer.
I forgave my mom and dad, but I didn't want to be around them any more than I absolutely had to.
Wow.
We get so caught up in what we feel. And the thing is, you know, what I want, think, or feel doesn't really matter all that much. What I need to do is submit all of that to what God wants. Wow. And so it was my duty, and I think this is important, you know, it was my duty to take care of my parents because the Bible tells us to do that. And so I didn't do it because I thought it was fun, or because I wanted to, or because I wanted to spend the money, or even because I had any fond, gooey feelings toward them. Love is not how you feel, it's how you decide to treat somebody.
Wow.
If the enemy is attacking your finances, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
If he's attacking your health, there's a reason for that. If he's attacking your mind, your thinking process, your relationship, there's a reason for that. It's not by happenstance. There's a reason. There's intentionality behind the modus operandi, or the motive of the powers of darkness. Whatever area has been attacked in your life the most will be the area that will emerge as the most blessed area in your life.
Wow.
And the instrument by which God will exhibit his glory.
Beautiful.
So put a smile on your face, because God's about to flip it around. Whatever the snake attacked, God's about to bless. God's about to favor. God's about to use. God's about to demonstrate his glory, whatever it may be. Pastor Sam, the enemy's been attacking my children. That means your children have destiny on them like you can never, ever imagine. They will do great things. They will change the world. So whatever area is under assault, get ready to see that area under the favor and the blessings of heaven.
Why does a loving God allow us to go through suffering?
Yeah.
And if God loves me and I have faith in his power, why doesn't he give me a miracle?
Yeah.
And so as the arms and legs did not miraculously come, I started wondering, well, who is this God who loves me, and what's the plan that he could ever have? Go try and ask God today, if you're depressed, believe it or not, I'm going to tell you something that will sound stupid, but to actually say, God, even though I haven't got what I feel like I need today or want today, help me to be used, that I can give somebody else what they need, what they want, or even just help them. Like whether we go to a cancer ward in a hospital to make those kids smile, or go to an orphanage, or just go feed the homeless. Go try be a miracle for someone else.
I had a near drug overdose in 1978, and I almost lost my life. And that's when I thought, oh my gosh, Lord, do whatever you have to do to get my attention. Car wreck, break my legs, just don't kill me. I'd say those kind of prayers. And I knew my mom and dad were on their knees every single night for me, if not in the morning as well. And then 1979, November of 79, I probably had a nervous breakdown. I never went to the doctor, but I ended up on the linoleum floor in my apartment in Nashville, and I wept and shook for 3.5 hours. And at 3:30 in the morning, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Abba was laying on the floor with his arm around me. And I haven't been the same since. It all changed. But I'm convinced that it was the prayers of my mom and dad.
Yeah. How did she pass away?
So she was born with a heart condition. So when I met her, we were 17 years old. She was 16, I was 17. And I remember her telling me that she had a heart surgery. And so ignorantly, I was like, oh, if you have a surgery, that fixes it, we're all done. Little did I know, a year after we got married, that she would start having many complications. During the 3 of our 4 years of marriage, that she would be in and out the hospital. We were praying and believing God to heal her heart. We would have scriptures everywhere, Eric. We'd have scriptures, like pasted on our bathroom mirror and our refrigerator. The scriptures like, if you command this mountain to be picked up, removed in the sea, and you shall believe and not doubt in your heart, you will have what you say. And, just faith scriptures that would just get us to believe for the miracle. And unexpectedly, the first surgery went wrong. She got into an emergency surgery, heart donor list, put her on an artificial heart, and she passed away. And it devastated me, absolutely devastated me, to the point where I didn't want to go on American Idol. But thank God for my church family and some friends. They really encouraged me to go. So I'm trying out for American Idol. I'm in that line, 10,000 people, Kansas City. I think it's called Kemper Arena. And I'm in the line and I'm crying, and then I'm happy, and then I'm crying. Like, it was an extremely emotional experience because I was there for about 12 hours that day, but I ended up with my first golden ticket.
So how did you deal with that? Because I think that there's some people would say, I don't have faith anymore because I believed and I'm a sucker. It didn't work out. Where did you go? How did you reconcile that in your mind, that you prayed with this kind of faith and that your wife did not survive?
First of all, I love that you say that you believe in healing today, because I do too. Eric, this is the part of the story that kind of even hit me harder. Now, this is the dichotomy of what I'm about to share with you is going to be kind of interesting. Because the prayers and the people of my church were praying so much, after she passed away, a healing movement broke out at my church. Meaning, for about a month or 2 months after, people were coming to our church, they're being healed of cancer. Even a limb is growing out, like a movement sparked out. And this, I'm in the services, and you know what I say? I got to get out of here. I can't be here. Why did God not heal my wife? So I went on a trip. I got away for about a month. And I think what happened is God always answers faith, and his word is always true. You know what I've actually believe happened? And hear me out on this. I believe that God would have healed her. But here's what I believe. When she saw Jesus face to face, I bet you she saw Jesus and he said, their prayers, I have to answer their prayers. This is going to sound weird. I hope it doesn't sound weird, man. Don't lose me on this one. I believe that when she saw Jesus, she said, I want to stay. And God can never override anyone's will. And even though our prayers, they came back to us and God started healing people. But I believe when she saw Jesus face to face, that she said, will you take care of my family? And I bet you the Lord said yes. And she said, let me stay. And God has taken care of us. Now, some people are probably wrestling with this. Well, you don't have to understand it. You go to Job. Job lost his whole family. And God told Job, he didn't answer him the questions he had. He said, where were you when I told the ocean to come this far, when I put the sun up here? Job understood one thing. And here's what I've learned. As long as I have God at the center, Job was able to enjoy his second family, because many people think, well, the first, I don't want my second family. I want my first family back. But if you have God, he's the one that gives you ability to enjoy family. So I had to learn like Job, God, if you took my first wife and she's in heaven, you're going to give me the ability to love again, because you're the center of the entire picture. And the next steps I can do again because I have you.